Hello, thanks for being in a new video. This time I got my hands on the HONOR X8b and I'm going to tell you what I liked most and least about it after testing it in case you're considering buying it. So as always, let me tell you, don't buy the HONOR X8b without watching this video. Let's consider its launch price, which is 7,999 pesos in Mexico. On the screen you see the reference price in dollars, although remember that the prices here are not the same as those there. I must anticipate that it seems to me a more expensive device than I would like. Evidently, even at this price we are going to find some strengths in it, but if it were cheaper, I think it would be even more attractive. So, if you find it in some special promotion and find it cheaper, I think it would become more attractive. Remember that I have the full review available in case you want to know it in more depth, since here I will only mention briefly what I like the most and the least. Let's start with what I like the most. The back cover is really very nice. If you are one of those people who like to buy a nice looking device, this one is definitely going to meet your expectations, as this back cover is capable of projecting different colors. It mainly looks silver, but it also projects colors like blue, green, yellow, purple. The truth is that it is very attractive. Also, the front is perfectly well used with super reduced bezels. For example, if you compare it to the bezels that some Galaxies offer us, this one definitely looks much thinner, it looks more modern, so this I consider to be another very attractive point. The screen is ultra resistant. It's got 5 stars by SGS. We've already tested it, we dropped it on the floor, and honestly the screen holds up very well to drops. Obviously the bezels being plastic might get a little bit more affected in these drops, but the screen stays pretty much intact. In addition, it is very thin and very light. So, as you realize, the design is one of its strongest points because it has several attractive elements. The AMOLED screen is also really very good with a very high dimming rate. The dimming rate is going to cause us a more comfortable experience when viewing content. It's not something that we can notice with as much difference as, for example, the refresh rate or the brightness level, which you can immediately see the difference between one and the other, but at night the flickering is going to be minimal and that will cause your eyes to not be as fatigued when you're looking at this screen. It takes good portrait pictures because it allows for 1 and 2x's. Generally, other devices in portrait mode only allow capture from 1x on these mid-range devices, but HONOR also enables you the focal length similar to 50mm, so it gives you a more professional perspective of the portrait, and honestly, it also has good edge detection, natural blur, good foreground detection, so the portraits I liked as well. It also supports dual recording mode with the front camera and the rear camera, although it's only in HD, so it doesn't look that spectacular to me, but it's a feature that not all devices integrate and that's why I have to mention it. At the software level, it offers us a good security suite with secure folder, application lock and other tools, and the battery is also spectacular. We have already done several tests and it really is a battery that is going to give us excellent performance. And it is surprising because its battery capacity is not 5,000 milliamps, but believe me, it performs even better than other devices with larger batteries. That is why it comes to surprise. HONOR has one of the best software level management of the battery and apps running in the background, so I really like the battery life. You can also select which apps you want to connect to the internet with your data and which apps will only be able to do so over Wi-Fi. This is a tool that can be very useful to keep better control of your mobile data consumption, so you won't be surprised because you ran out of your entire package. The HONOR ecosystem is very broad, inherited from Huawei, since they have their Magic Book, their HONOR Pad, their headphones, their watch, so everything coexists well with each other. And as I tell you, it's even still compatible with a number of Huawei things. So at the ecosystem level, the experience is very good. RAM management is pretty much flawless. It's going to be very difficult for any app to restart because it really keeps these apps in the background very well. I did the test with 16 applications, switching between each of them, and the truth is that the device performs very well, and it has 512 gigabytes of internal storage. This is another of the most surprising points and one that I like the most because in this price range it is not common to find this capacity, and it comes in handy if you like to take a lot of pictures or a lot of videos and your devices were filling up very fast. Believe me, this one will take a long time to fill up. In fact, you could also install very heavy games on it and it won't fill up easily. Although the performance of the heavy games, I'll mention it to you in the section of things I didn't like, but strictly speaking about the storage, definitely that can be one of its strongest points. But now let me tell you what I didn't like. It only has one speaker with mono sound. In this price range, we could ask for stereo sound. Even though it sounds loud, it's not really going to give us this same wider sound experience. And many devices in this price range are already starting to integrate stereo sound. The equalizer is only available when you connect headphones to it. So again, in terms of audio experience, it falls very short. You don't have a headphone jack, so again it falls short in this section. Possibly the sound is one of its weakest points. It has a 50 megapixel front camera, but it doesn't seem to take advantage of it very well. It also feels quite slow and clumsy when taking selfies. So I think that even in this aspect, it will not give us an experience very according to its price, although the strengths also play in its favor. So you have to find the balance, and I hope that in this video where I mention the best and worst, you can decide more easily if it is what you are looking for or not. In fact, the quality of the selfie may fall a bit short of expectations. There's a bit more noise present than we'd like, even in scenes that aren't that dark. So the front camera sounds like it's pretty good for having 50 megapixels, but in practice I don't think it's that good. At least not at the moment. I think they could update it to improve the experience and the image processing, but I don't know if they are going to do it. Portraits with the front camera do not keep objects in focus. While we saw that the rear camera had perfect foreground detection, it is not the same with the front camera, so the portraits are not as advanced. The burst with the main camera is quite slow. This is another aspect where the device feels like a much inferior experience to what we expect and doesn't really take advantage of the 108 megapixels. Again, it's a very strange thing because even though they do integrate high-resolution sensors, when you enter that specific high-resolution mode, it doesn't feel like it's giving you as sharp a picture. The ultra-wide camera is of a very poor standard. Although it is appreciated that they put an ultra-wide camera instead of another useless camera, in this case I think the lens does have a very simple quality. It is immediately noticeable in the edges and color, so it is not that nice. In zoom, it is a complete disaster. There are other devices that make a higher quality zoom, making cuts in the sensor or optimizing in a better way the level of detail, but in this case it seems simply that it is a photograph stretched to the maximum, so you get to see the pixels, you see very little level of detail. The zoom really is very bad, although I think they could improve it with an update since the high resolution sensor should serve for this, but in this case they are not taking advantage of it. It only records video in full HD at 30 frames per second. That quality falls far short. We usually only see that in the cheapest devices on the market. It does not even allow us to record at 60 frames per second, which would be at least expected. And also consider that Samsung does allow us to record at this price, so I think it may fall short in the aspect of video recording. The zoom when recording video is also very bad. It is seen with steps a little marked, and again you only see a stretched image and it is not seen to really take advantage of the sensor information. The video recording also has no stabilization, so you feel a very ugly movement. It is not a device focused on video recording. Actually, if you are going to create a device to create content or something like that, the truth is that the video comes out very simple. The fast camera, for example, comes out at a very low bit rate. I mean, you immediately feel a kind of pixelated effect with these very accelerated movements. Believe me, it looks very ugly. It also doesn't allow us to switch between the main camera and the ultra-wide camera when recording video. That takes away your zoom versatility, and yes, there are other devices that while you are recording allow you to make this switch. In this case, you need to stop your video recording and then start it again. It doesn't have full zoom. It's becoming more and more common for devices to have this level of connectivity, but this one is still stuck with connectivity, so it's not as ready to take advantage of the network in the future. It also doesn't have NFC, so you can't make mobile payments if you register your cards with your cell phone, unlike other devices, even cheaper ones that do offer that chip. It also has Bluetooth 5.0. That is, it has several generations behind Bluetooth, so it will not offer you so much stability in your accessories. Its proximity sensor is virtual, so you might get to have a bit of instability when using this sensor when you make a call or when you listen to a WhatsApp audio. The Snapdragon 680 processor we can't accept at this price. It's not a bad processor, but it's a pretty old processor. That's why the Bluetooth is also very old. That's why it doesn't have 5G and other things. But it's a processor that's usually used in the entry range, in full of the year of the year of the year. Seeing it in a device this expensive really makes us annoyed. In this price range, you will be able to find other much more powerful alternatives at processor level. When opening applications, it will behave a little slower. The explanation, as I said, is the processor. It is not a fast processor, although after they are already open, they stay running very well, so I was saying that it manages its RAM very well, but the opening speed does not satisfy us. For exporting videos, it is also going to be slow, especially compared to competitors. Maybe if you do not compare it and you come from a much older device, you feel that the performance is good. But believe me, at this price you could find much more powerful alternatives if your priority is video editing. In addition, we already saw that it is not a cell phone very focused on video recording. When playing games, you can also notice that the processor is very old. That is, it will not give you much fluidity. Although it might have good graphic compatibility, you will not have a smooth execution. So the ideal is to play with very low quality so you can have a better performance. Also, the screen feels like it doesn't respond as fast when playing. So for gamers, this option is definitely going to be disappointing. But if your priority is not so much to be playing heavy content, then you're going to have a still acceptable experience. If you're just playing very simple 2D content, you're not going to notice that the device is slow or anything like that. But if you already bought it, let me know your experience in the comments. Tell me what you thought of the processor, especially since it's its most controversial point, a very old processor. Tell me if you have really felt that the cell phone is slow or you feel it is a good enough speed for you. Leave your experience in the comments because if other people are considering buying this device, they will surely read your opinion. For the moment, we have reached the end of this video. If you liked it, you know you can point it out. And see you next time.